Slap. No.
Such a lazy mom. Night Wake, Daydream. Hello, everybody. Get yourself a profile pic. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a working man or a thug for J.H. Blair. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Peaches.
Yeah. That, I don't know if you remember Jennifer Lawrence's character Rosalind. She got called Peaches by Irving. It's the only other time I've heard Peaches is
Where? In
in
what movie?
American Hustle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a strange one. I've heard like I think there was like a movie where there was a stripper named Peaches in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely I've never met another dude whose nickname was Peaches. You didn't really have any nicknames like that were
No,
ascribed by parents, right?
not my parents. My sisters called me Sissy when they were little.
Sissy. Yeah. Yeah, I had multiple nicknames.
So, like, my mom was talking to my sisters. She'd be like, go see Sissy or whatever.
Yeah. And my parents would call my sisters sis,
Yeah.
but all of them
Mm-hmm.
when she was talking to them. But she'd call me Peaches, PJ, or Peach. Peach was the shortening of PJ.
Yeah.
I think that's how Peaches was born.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what country she was from. It's like an Eastern European lady that had immigrated a long time ago, and she just had a little bit of that accent left.
Yeah.
And she was my gym teacher, and she heard my mom call me Peach. Come on, Peach. And the next time I came into class, she said, I heard your mom calls you a peach. So get out there, Peaches. Show us what you got. And then my mom overheard that, and now, as a 40-year-old man, that woman, I couldn't remember a single thing she taught me from gymnastics, but she basically named me in part of my family.
Yeah.
Peaches. What the fuck?
Hold it down with that.
It's never bothered me, though. I always thought of it like, I would love to write like a movie, like a gangster type of movie,
Yeah.
where one of the gangsters is known as Peaches.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to fuck with Peaches, man. Because I think I like the juxtaposition. It sounds
Yeah.
like something that they would call like a hard ass gangster or something.
Yeah.
Peaches, man. I love it.
Call him Peaches because he bruises them like a peach.
Yeah. Yeah. Call him Peaches because he lives down in the pit. Peaches the pummeler. Yeah. If you were going to operate around 43rd Street in Wharf Harbor, you had to go talk to Peaches.
D, you're just gonna go in if you keep boofing at the neighbor.
Peaches was this big fat gangster, but you didn't say it to his face. He had a hair trigger and a hair temper, and those two things, very dangerous.
Yeah, it's not like... It's kind of like Pussy in The Sopranos.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to some of the gangster names,
Yeah.
none of them are like most of them aren't like, some people got names like Pete the Killer.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. But the other ones that they list off in Goodfellas, Frankie the Wop, Jimmy No Nose, Jimmy Two Times, Nicky Eyes, because he's got glasses. Jimmy the Gent. You know you're Italian when the mafia calls you a wop. I mean, yeah, if you get a name from an Italian organization and you're straight out of Sicily. WAP was actually applied to a lot of different immigrants. It ended up settling on like an Italian slur.
But probably just...
Well, it stands for without papers.
Yeah.
So it meant an immigrant.
Yeah, so probably any European that was beige.
I mean, it wasn't even the beigeness of it.
Yeah.
Like, they called the Irish immigrants WAPs.
Yeah.
Anybody that was coming over in, that's that kind of big exodus from Europe.
Yeah.
But it really settled in the Italian community as a term. I'm trying to think, what did they used to call Irish? Paddy. Call him Paddy, or like a potato eater. Mick. Yeah. Mick. Dirty kid names are like that too in the movies and stories. Hobos have super cool names, but some of the ones I've actually heard are Ryder, Lamp, Cat Piss, Amsterdam, and Useless. Cool. If you're like a hobo, you get to like get a cool hobo nickname. That's kind of cool.
I guess they were also called FBI for Fort and Born Irish.
FBI, huh? That one couldn't hit the same these days.
No. There's a whole racial slur database.
Oh yeah, there is. They're actually, like, as ugly as the act of like being racist is, the language that crops up around it has always been interesting to me, just academically. I like learning about the different slurs and the etymology of them, like where they came from, at least what they're based on. Because a lot of those slurs, not all of them, are integrated into those communities. One of the ways that those communities defeat that slur is to just make it part of their parlance. So Irish people would, oh, come here, you mixed son of a bitch, Black people obviously use the N-word a whole lot. Just kind of interesting to me. And that's all language stuff. That's like language adapting to a social situation. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
How language is not this static thing. It's constantly in flux. It's constantly moving, constantly being rewritten, words are constantly like there's now in the dictionary two definitions for literally.
Mm-hmm.
And the second definition is figuratively.
Yeah.
I saw somebody bitching about that on
Yeah.
Twitter the other day. They took a picture of it, you know, and it's literally, you know, something, you know, when something definitely happened or whatever the definition
Yeah.
is. And then the second definition is literally figuratively.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because that's how it's used now.
Yeah.
People will say, I'm literally starving.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally, you know, whatever. It's constant. TJ used to bitch about that so much. I used to bitch a little bit about the misuse of words and stuff when I was younger. But I don't know, I started looking at language differently as I got older, and I started to kind of appreciate the malleable nature of language and how certain things, like in that King James movie that we're watching, they were singing a song in the back of that little van, Moated, Corroded, Your Butt Exploded.
Mm-hmm.
I was singing that song when I was 6, 7, 8 years old in grade school. And the fact that that little weird little insult thing has transcended the generations, and somehow the people that made that movie, or maybe even it was even Venus and Serena, told them like they grew up doing it too. They were in LA.
Yeah.
You know, I was down in fucking Cowtown. I never had any interaction with anybody from those places. It's just weird how that spread. Pre-internet, even mass communication, where it was easy to get a hold of random people. Those little sayings and phrases and sing-songy things, they would travel all over the country.
It was King Richard, not King James.
Oh, King Richard, yeah.
Just so people don't get confused. Yeah, it's interesting and confusing at the same time.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the reasons that English is so considered to be a really hard language for a non-native speaker to learn. Because there are so many words with dual meanings and dual uses and colloquial uses that don't really line up with the actual thing.
Yeah.
Weird pronunciations, weird appropriations of foreign words, and bastardizations of words that they may already know.
Yeah.
It's a language that's constantly mutating and reinventing itself as it goes along, creating brand new words, and portmanteaus become actual words. You know.
Yeah, I think like the South is probably another place where a lot of shit like kind of emanates from with colloquialisms.
It comes from everywhere, honestly. It really does. And it all blends, especially now with the internet and stuff. People are picking up. But yeah, like when you're talking about like Zoomer culture, a lot of how they're talking is Florida, South kind of talk. Florida, Georgia, the fucking, what do you call it? The Gulf. Yeah. You know, all this like no cap and I got my blicky and all this shit. All that shit started down there, kind of migrated to every young person.
But yeah, it's like unless you've lived in this, cause I think a lot of people are like, can't even understand Southerners because they don't use the grammar. It's like it's easy enough once you listen to
that's
it.
ridiculous. You can understand Southerners. There are some people, if you go way deep into like the Appalachians or something, that it's almost like they're speaking a different language. There's this it used to be, I don't know if it's still on there, documentary on YouTube that I watched years ago, probably like 10 years ago. And it was about the language of Appalachia. And this dude went deep into the mountains, found these little tiny self-subsistence towns where people, you know, hillbillies. Yeah. And he talked to them and had them explain the different meanings of different words and talk to some of these people where it literally sounded like Boomhauer from that cartoon. It's literally like, I got that dang, I went down down the floor, and I picked it up, and I'll show you, I tell you what, I picked up that $1.78, and I pulled you know, and you're picking up a little word here and there, but not enough to follow. calling everybody cuh.
Yeah.
That's a Southern thing. What's up, cuh? Let's get it popping, cuh. It's another very versatile word too, because you might call your friend that. What's up, cuh? That also might be fighting words.
Yeah.
What's up, cuh? Let's get it popping. Fuck you talking about, cuh? The root of that is cousin.
Yeah.
There's a really interesting, like, I don't know. I just think that language is really interesting. I love how little terms change. Some of them go out of vogue and then come back into vogue in different ways, you know. My girlfriend is a Zoomer. Don't get me started on their excuse for what they call rap nowadays. Dude, you're barking up the wrong tree with me. I'm a fan of Zoomer rap. I don't listen to it all the fucking time, but let me tell you what Zoomer rap has got down. It has got heaping tablespoons more swagger than any other type of rap. Because those beats are just nasty and they focused so much inward. Like they've really taken the braggadocio of the 80s and brought it back to the forefront. But simplified and like ground down to the elemental level. So while in the 80s it might have been like rapping about I'm the best MC in the West, you see, blah blah, you know what I mean? I got diamonds on me and got gold on me, and they'd go on to different things. And then that became I'm the most violent motherfucker, you know, I'm the biggest thug that you're gonna run into. I'm the biggest gangster in the city. You know, the 80s turned into the 90s. The 2000s became about partying. It was about like, oh, you find me in the club, you know, that defined a genre. And then the Zoomers came along and started entering into the space, and it's almost like a callback to the 80s, where it's about boasting, but ultra stripped down boasting, where it's more about the beat and vibe of a song than it is necessarily about the lyrics. But if you tune into the lyrics, it's hipster. Well, there's a reason I kind of skipped hipster hip hop from 2007 to 2013, but you are right. But yeah, no, I like Zoomer hip hop.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much more possibility now for people to make their own beats way easier than they used to.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like you have to go to a producer and
you can learn to do it. I mean, it takes a lot of talent to be really good. So learning to do it is one thing, but
you're not hampered by like what they think is a good beat.
No. So it's very experimental. I love the fuzzed out 808 bass drums that are typified in this modern music. I love that shit. That overdriven bass. I was standing overdriven bass before this new kind of little rapper type of thing started. There's this band called Sleigh Bells. And it was this little collab band between a producer and a female singer. And the thing that made their shit so great, in my opinion, was they had overdriven 808s. So when I say overdriven, I mean and you hear it in the modern rap songs, where when the bass hits, it sounds like it's turned up too loud, just a hair. Like instead of being a clean boom, it's like a, you know what I mean? Like the bass is hitting extra hard, and that band has that. It's like a guitar. It's like a kind of a rock band with. It's very actually comparable to the type of rap that I'm talking about, actually, because they're very repetitive. Like their songs are very simplistic, repetitive. There's a heavy guitar beat, and then like the bass is just absolutely blown out, and so front and center. And that was years and years before you started hearing Lil Wayne start to kind of push rap in that direction. I mean, they're oversaturated, and the gain is amplified to the point on purpose of. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to. I'm not a music person, so yeah, that's probably a better way of putting it. I'm so used to complex sentence structures and interwoven literary poetry in my old school hip hop. This new mumble stuff is just super basic lyrically, but the beats are straight fire. I can, I love lyrical hip hop just as much as the next dude. I lived through that when a lot of those like Tribe Called Quest and these more conscious KRS-One type of hip hop guys. When their careers were on fire, I was their target audience. So I was listening to all that shit. I love that shit, but I'm not as boomerish on the lack of lyricism. Like, number one, I don't think there's an utter lack of lyricism. I think people overplay how little lyrical skill is on display in mumble rap, as they call it. Because there are some that are just incredibly clever. Like, if you want to listen to somebody that's real super lyrical but falls into that mumble rap category and also has some of the best beats in the game, there's a dude named Ski Mask, the Slump God. You listen to some of his music and you'll see that, these dudes have got, there's a whole varying range. I think the range, I might have just defined it. On the low end of lyricism, when it comes to like wittiness and complexity and meaningfulness, there's Lil Pump. Lil Pump, in my opinion, is the king of like low lyrical effort rap that still bangs. And then on this end is Ski Mask. So Ski Mask, super complex raps, has that same kind of beat though, has that same kind of swag. And Lil Pump basically just repeating 2 or 3 things throughout a song, Yeah. And most of it is about how much money something he's got costs.
People don't spit it anymore. I think that's like where it's like hard rhymes. It's like
Yeah, I mean, they kind of do that drill kind of like, I'm fucking the budget, the mama, the mama on your bitch. I'm fucking. You'll hear that type of shit still in rap, and that's like one of the flows that people from the '90s make fun of because it's very basic. It's just like like if you took a drum instead of going boom 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 boom, you're doing you know what I mean?
But I mean, it's impressive if you get someone on a really tight flow.
I love it. Like I'm all for all of it. Honestly, I run into way more of it that I like than that I don't like, and the more I try and expand into artists that like on the face of it look like they kind of suck. Now I have run across some ones that are just like absolute ass. There's a lot of industry plants, like these kids that get plucked up by a record label and completely made over into something else. The one that sticks out in my head is this chick named Baby Goth, who was like trying to be like an R&B singer, and then a record label went to her and basically offered her a deal, but it included they had to make her over, and they turned her into this like not trap in the internet sense, trap in the rap sense, like a trap rapper vampire goth chick where she had diamond fangs, made her hair all blue, and dressed her up, and she came out and started working with other rappers that had legitimate careers, like Trippie Redd and Lil Xan and stuff, guys that actually came up. And it was like she was trying to be forced by the labels, like, oh, here's another one, and it just didn't work out. There was another one. There's this little Hispanic kid named Jumex who came out, and he had this like screamo rap thing. He was another industry plant. They came up, they dyed his hair green, They put like a chain around, like a dog collar around his neck with the chain hanging down, dressed him all in black, and he did this song that was just him screaming about how he wants to kill himself. It's him in his room. The video is just like him in his room, and it's this tiny little room, and he's laying on his bed smoking weed. And, you know, the hook is like, oh, I'm trapped, and I can't get out. But that screechy emo, I can't do the screechy emo. And so he just yells his whole rap. Some of these artists, like City Morgue, who throw industrial metal and punk influences into the trap formula, are some of my favorite peeps in the game. I haven't heard City Morgue. Yeah, to simplify, you do put the lime in the coconut and mix it both up. I said, doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? I said, doctor, to relieve this belly ache. Cypress Hill is king, huh? I don't know about that, but I like Cypress Hill. I was on the ground floor of Cypress Hill. I was a fan of Cypress Hill when they were gangster rappers, not weed rappers. That's how you know I'm legit. I was listening to Cypress Hill when they were still gangster rappers and not roll it up, smoke it up, light it up, inhale, exhale.
I feel like the weed rap is gonna die down as it gets
It already
more
has.
popular.
There's only a couple of bands that even really pull it off. I mean, it's kind of woven into the, like, they'll mention weed and modern rap and stuff, but
It's not as edgy as it used to be.
well, it's not like focused on that. Like, there's I'm trying to remember the name of the band. There was Cypress Hill, who became weed rappers, and fuck, what was that other band? It's not the Sugar Hill Gang, but it's something like that. It's like these white guys that are all stoner rappers, and all they rap about is weed. And they're really probably the only people that can still make money doing that. Yeah, Cottonmouth Kings, that was it, yeah. They're probably the only people that can still tour on a weed rap. Now they talk about Fetty and lean, hardcore drugs, at least compared to boomer weed. Yeah. It's all about lean now. I find that shit kind of adorable. Reminds me of all the scene kids who used to trip on DXM by mixing Robitussin and Corrigan. Something about getting a fix. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've never tried lean, but I bet it's hella good. Could use some lean now, man. All rap is about coke now. No. It's about pharmaceuticals, man. It's about, well, and coke. But yeah, a lot of rap is about pharmaceuticals. And that's like the drug of choice now, anyway. Isn't lean just scissor? Yeah, it's the same shit. It's codeine cough medicine poured in with like Sprite or mixed in with different flavors and shit, Kool-Aid or whatever the fuck. And then you sit with a big cup of ice and you sip it, and it gives you an opiate buzz, obviously. At least it's not Jankum. I know. I was kind of sad when I realized that Jankum was just like a pre-Onion hoax. But it actually makes it kind of funny because the news literally covered it. But it was just like an internet hoax that escaped out of something awful or some shit like that.
Yeah. Imagine it's pretty fucking weird being a journalist nowadays.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to vet things now.
Yeah.
I mean, it always kind of has been, though. At least for a long time. There's this dude named Captain Jenks that used to go on the Howard Stern show, and he was a master of getting on these like news programs that were trying to cover an emerging story and pretending to be somebody like. We've got the chief of police, Jim Hawkins. Jim, what can you tell us about this? And they're so hungry, like it was really their own stupidity. Because if they would have just looked into who was the chief of police of the town this is happening in, it wouldn't be Jim Hawkins or whatever the fuck. And even if it was, they could call and verify, like, is Jim Hawkins talking to us? But they were so hungry to like be first to the news. And Captain Jenks would get on there and he'd keep them on the hook for a while. He'd be like, "Oh, it's a tragedy down here, and we're really just trying to keep ourselves together, you know." He'd go on like that for a minute, let him ask a couple of questions, and then he would be like, "Well, you know, I think that Howard Stern's penis, Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis, Baba Booey, and they'd eventually like go, "Oh fuck," cut him off. But he was so good. He got on so many of these stupid fucking cable news shows.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of bullshit artists on those. If you really take a look at it, they just probably don't admit it very often.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, anyone can say they're like from the whatever institute and shit.
They can, yeah. But now it's easier to vet that shit because they've got like internet things they can look at, and they're probably a lot more careful now. That's what a chat raid looked like before the rise of social media, yeah. Oh yeah, dude, he had Captain Jenks working like 24/7. And he was like watching all kinds of cable news networks and trying to tune into as many local networks as he could to find these emerging stories and get Howard Stern mentioned in all these different areas. Say what you will about the West, at least we got places like Reddit and such to kind of filter the filtered propaganda that is normal news, I guess.
What the fuck are you, like 90% of people on Reddit don't read the articles.
Yeah, I know. Reddit ain't it, but if you use the internet properly, you can do that. Can we throw a rock at the leaf blower? No, we can't. I like the Dumb as a Box of Rocks series Howard Stern was. But yeah, there were tons of great old bits that wouldn't work now. There was the anal ring toss, where usually a lady would come in, you'd play like ring toss. She'd put something in her ass, stick her ass in the air, and then they would, because they were on radio, they would just describe it. Yeah. So, but it was actually going on in the studio. They'd do ring toss, and for every ring, she got some money, and the person that threw it got some money. There was a segment called It's Just Wrong, where they would have dads and their adult daughters, or moms and their adult sons, or adult siblings come in and have them do increasingly, like, suspect shit with each other for more and more money. It'd be like, touch her inner thigh for $15. He'd do it, and then they'd be like, give each other a kiss for $50 with tongue. It would just like escalate. It was a crazy time, man. Those radio days, there's really not much to compare them to. It was fucking nuts. would have to be crazy, desperate for cash. There's always those types of people, though. See, Howard Stern was kind of predatory. He would go out into the community and find, like, he had like homeless games and shit. Now, to be honest with you, the homeless person always left with money, probably more money than they would have got panhandling for 2 or 3 days. But, and he wouldn't like degrade them. He would just he would do like, he would pit one of his callers against a homeless person in like a trivia contest. And if the homeless person won, they got money. And then even if they lost, they gave them some money or whatever the fuck. So it was exploitative, but not horribly so. But he would pull weirdos, like Elegant Elliot Offen was this kind of, he would have probably called himself a transvestite or a cross-dresser. He was a macho dude that was famous for running around a certain part of New York City in women's clothing. And so he became a thing on Howard Stern show because they just pulled him in off the street, you know. And he ended up being kind of a mentally ill person. So it was just a weird fucking show, man. It's surprising that it was allowed to exist, but the reason it was allowed to exist was because it was just dominating the whole market. Nobody else was doing any of that shit. Sometimes when they had some dopey chicks in the studio, he'd be like, let's get some homeless questions for her. Yeah. Yeah, it was a crazy show, man. It was really brilliant. I would love to do like a DFF on Howard Stern, but he is so litigious with clips that I wouldn't be able to play much of anything of his.
You'd have to like do reads on quotes or whatever.
Yeah. It would be that'd be a big research document because I would have to go and watch the shit, transcribe it in a lot of cases. And, yeah. Does YouTube let you download a probably not.
What?
A fucking closed caption file. Probably.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doubtful. Yeah, I would have to read a lot of quotes.
You'd have to like play it at like half speed or something.
I mean, there's stuff up that's been up forever, so if I was judicious with it and only played a few little things. But I mean, that dude, the history of that show is fucking crazy. And I go a long way back with it, not all the way to the very beginning, but I started listening when he was at K-Rock in New York, which was the biggest radio station in the world. And he was the morning drive guy, which is the biggest radio position at the biggest radio station in the world. It's the highest listener base. Everybody's coming and going from work and getting up for work and listening while they're at work. And so he just dominated. He was being replayed all the way over in fucking Fresno, California, which was near Madera, where I grew up. And I would tune in every morning when I was getting ready for school. I'd wake up and listen, and it was just the craziest shit every day. This whole cast of characters. Like, he took the people that worked on his show that are normally like background people and made them characters on the show. Like, involved them, created drama between them, and milked it for reactions and shit. One of my favorite Howard Stern bits is he was just like, I could piss anybody off with basically one sentence. And everybody in the studio was like, no, you can't. I mean, if we knew you were coming at us to do that, there's no way you could make everybody mad with one sentence. He was like, I could do it, but I don't want to do it. He's like, I don't want to do it because, it's gonna make you mad, and I don't want to kill the vibe. And they were like, oh, bullshit. He got him on the hook, And so he was like, fine, I'll do it. And he went to Robin first. And he was like, he said it was just brilliant. It wasn't even all that incisive. He was like, "Robin, you're nowhere near as smart as you think you are." And she went, "Oh, oh!" It's immediately pissed off. He was like, "See, see." And then his producer, Baba Booey, Gary Delabate, is like, "Both, I don't think you can get me. You know, I don't think you could ever get me, both." And he goes, "I really don't want to get you, Baba Booey." He's like, "Oh, try it, try it. Dude, I won't get mad. Watch." And Howard goes, "Okay, if you want me to." And he goes, "Yeah, do it, do it, do it." And Howard's like, "Everybody knows how often you cheat on your wife, Gary, and we all keep it a secret." And he was like, "Oh, dude, don't say that. That's fucked up, man." He was like, "See, see, I told you. I didn't want to do it, but you made me do it." It's just the funniest shit because he was so right. Gary's a piece of shit. Nah, he's just a he's just a big horse-toothed jackass, dude. That's all. He's not a piece of shit. I used to hate Eric the Midge. Now I can't fall asleep without it. I know. Rest in peace, that little guy. You wish George Carlin were still with us. Yeah, we don't deserve George Carlin. We're utterly undeserving of George Carlin. They could have handled the Rat Pack with much less exploitation. Huh. I don't even know what we're talking about now. What are we talking about? You want to talk a comic that was taken too soon? Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks would still be fucking slaying insults. I'd bring back Bill. We need Bill Hicks more than anything. Ugh. Fuck ending the housing crisis, poverty. We need Bill Hicks. We want Bill. We want Bill. I played Dune a few hours yesterday after your stream. Yeah, I suck at it, always going into negative. I had a really good game last night, late, as I was trying to kind of like wind down and go to sleep. I had a really good game. I played Fremen, and I lost a fucking Atreides diplomatic victory. So I'm pretty sure that's going to get tuned down a bit as they work on the game. But I had a crazy good game. I was sandworming all over the map, dude. I made the Harkonnens like literally useless, destroyed their base, which is really hard to do. You got to have your intel up so you can keep running ops that weaken the base and strengthen your troops, because but if you destroy the main base, you destroy the faction. And so I did that, and basically Atreides and the smugglers had been at war, and the Harkonnens had also been at war with the Atreides and stuff. And so everybody was too busy to really mess with me much. And even if they did mess with me, I had sandworms. Dude, the next time I stream that, I'll have to show you guys, because I think I like playing the Atreides way more. It's hard for me to think of how the Harkonnens could be better at this point. I guess more intrigue, because they do have more specialization for intrigue, but not really. Dude, I think the Fremen are really strong. Dude, maybe I'll go play a game of Fremen with you guys, and we'll see what I can do. I got a couple hours before I gotta go do stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that. So if you want to come watch a game of Dune, then let's do it. Oh, somebody gave me $5. I gotta say hello. What are you digging right now? Movies, music, books, etc. I'll answer that before I go. Movie wise, I've been watching Patrick Swayze films. I'm working on a Patrick Swayze movie retrospective, and I've enjoyed all of the ones that we've watched so far. So far, we watched Point Break, Ghost, and Dirty Dancing, and we're gonna watch Roadhouse, and maybe one other film. We're only really doing ones where he's the primary character, and then as I'm going along, I'm doing a little writing. Yeah, I'm gonna do like a sexy Swayze retrospective in the movies. So that's movies. Music, I'm all over the map on music, man. This morning I was listening to some like 70s funk, some like soul funk. Books, I've still kind of been pecking away at the 3-body problem. So there's your stuff. Yeah, I go play a little game and stream it. I'll see you guys in there.